Welcome.
Thank you so much.
Great. First of all, I'll welcome you to Ghana.
Yes.
Great. So, when we put out the story there, many people were yearning to hear from you, your story as a female journalist and as an international sports journalist. So, first of all, one will find out, or one will ask, how did you discover yourself as a sports journalist and as an international sports journalist as well?
Well, I think being an international sport journalist came after being a sport journalist because I was in the profession since 2008. But my first major international tournament that I covered was in 2012. So that's when I added the title international to my job because I was mainly based online in the digital world, and that has mainly been my thing. But it's been very important for me as well to cover major tournaments live from events. And after doing, stuff in Azerbaijan, Kenya, Ethiopia, Canada, France, Russia, I think that's how it came about for me to have that title, being international.
So, how many years have you been on this field as a sports journalist?
So I started, like I said, in 2008, so I'm into my 11th year, and my 7th year as a traveling sport journalist. And I like it a lot, so let's see how the future goes. But I can't say for now for how long I'm going to be in this profession.
Right. So, one will ask, what has been your greatest challenge as a female sports journalist? Because we've heard a whole lot of people being female and who are in the field of journalism, and there are challenges that they've been facing.
Yes.
So, you living on the foreign front, and more of times you've been coming to Ghana, what has been your greatest challenge as a female sports journalist?
I think this question is pretty interesting because I've had this question being asked by French media when I was in Paris during the Women's World Cup, and even in Russia, that was the same question that was being asked by RFI, which is the Radio France Internationale, and they wanted to know, in a country like Ghana, for example, how do they view females, especially in the profession that is so much patronized by men. And I was explaining to them that I'm aware I have some female colleagues who have been through very bad situations and discriminated because of their gender. But I was saying that my personal experience, I've been very blessed and fortunate to have it work in my favor. Because I've had people who told me that, oh wow, you're a girl, you're a woman, you are doing things that we, the men, do. And so you are doing it so well, so we want to even, boost you more. So it has worked in my favor, I think. And also, for example, at the international level, you have FIFA media, for example. FIFA media wants to promote women. So at the World Cup, the Men's World Cup in 2018, we had only 14% of the media who were female. It wasn't enough, but it was way more than previous Men's World Cups. And after fighting and having presenting a good portfolio, FIFA decided to also give me accreditation, also on the basis that I'm a female, because they want to diversify. They don't just want men, white males covering the sports. They want people from different nations, different continents, and women as well. So, like I said, in my point of view, being a female has opened more doors than it has closed some. That's how I see it, and I think on this front I'm pretty much blessed. Yeah.
So you're taking your life as a female sports journalist, and all these years that you've been on the field as a female sports journalist, what has been your major accomplishment as a female sports journalist?
My baptism of fire, I think, was being the only Ghanaian female journalist to go to Russia as an accredited journalist for the whole tournament, because we had Senujom. We shouldn't forget Senujom, who was there as well. She did a fantastic job, with her camera. But I was there for from start to finish, like from match day 1 really to the final, and I had accreditation and match tickets for each of the 7 rounds. So for me, this was super good. This is like the biggest tournament. I think everybody wants to be at the World Cup. It's the biggest tournament in the world of sports, and for me to also watch what might have been Ronaldo's last World Cup was also really huge. even though both Messi and Ronaldo crashed out in the last 16.
So, I mean, with all your tight schedules, I know when you came here and when I spoke to you, you introduced this thing to you, it was a good idea. So, let me find out, what do you do in your leisure time as a sports journalist? Because you could see all you, this is tight, you have a very tight schedule. So, in your leisure time, what do you normally do?
Well, my leisure time is more or less mixed up with my work, because in a sense, it's work, but it's also my passion. So when I say, okay, I'm not working on my computer and I'm taking time for myself, like right now, for example, one of my hobbies is reading books in Italian and going out with friends and eating, because I love eating. Yeah. And also talking with my mom, my dad, my sisters, my bro. I'm pretty much family oriented, so for me, when I have time, it's very important for me to like connect with my family, connect with friends, and like I said, also reading books. Yeah. Right.
So when you come to Ghana, to the media landscape, in sports session, for example, we've heard a whole lot of people that have been awarded for their good work they are doing. You can talk of Gary, you can talk of Sports Obama, you can talk of Danko Kiyabwa, you can mention all the names. They have been awarded with the good things that they're doing. And I know that you're trying very hard to put the name of Ghana on the globe. I know people have been recognizing your good work that you've been doing out there. I believe that award is not a major thing.
Yeah.
But in all these years, have there been any major awards for your good work that you're doing out there?
Well, to be honest, I have to announce now that I've been selected to have one of the awards at the WISA Awards, which is the Women in Sports Association Awards for 2019. So I'm super excited, grateful to Akosua Adai of Metro TV, who actually picked up, what I was doing, and referred me to Madame Gloria Commodore. So Madame Gloria actually called me a while ago upon my return from my vacation in Italy after the Women's World Cup in France. And she said that, I've been doing great stuff on my own as an independent media producer. And so I'm super honored, to have this award. It's going to be actually my first award. I think in a decade of what I've been doing, here in Ghana, I have the impression that people value more faces that they know on TV and radio. And I'm more web-based. Okay, and in independent media production, you need to be able to distribute your content for it to be seen. So there's a whole story to that whole distribution thing, which I will get to it, talk about it in due time. But basically, because I'm not too much like in your face, I haven't really had the awards that some people crave for. I feel honored to have awards. I do not work for awards, but if I could get a bit more recognition, why not? Because when I go to Europe, I like to call myself an unofficial Ghana ambassador. I like to go with this, my Ghana purse, Ghana flag purse. And can you believe that out of about 40 people I encountered across France and Italy, only 2 people got the flag of Ghana correct? So people don't know the country, and they're like, "Where is it from?" So I have to show them, my the map, and tell them that it's at West Africa, west of Africa, and they're like, "Oh, you are the first Ghanaian that I know." And then they go back, "Oh, Abedi Pele," So there's always this connection with football and Ghana, which is good, and I'm happy to be able to present a good impression of the country when I travel. If you are the first person from a country that foreigners see, please try your best to appear in a decent way, so it promotes the country. And in France, in Russia, and Italy, people have literally begged me for me to stay. I've had to explain time and time again that it doesn't work like that with the visa and stuff, But locals have been telling me, please don't go, please stay, And I don't know. I just have the impression that foreigners kind of really, really appreciate me, and maybe in my country I'm kind of overlooked. Maybe it's because I don't have the numbers on Twitter, I don't know. But I'm just doing my thing, and if the awards come by, why not? If they don't, I mean, I'm not obsessed. But like I said, I'm happy to be selected for the Visa Awards. So yeah, that will be in September.
Right.
Yeah.
Great. So we know you've traveled far and wide. You've been in Europe, you've been in Asia, you've been in North America, and all this things. So one will ask, what is your source of motivation? Because it will be very hard for people to do that.
Yeah.
And I know we'll get there, but in all this, what is your major source of motivation? Travel around only to cover games. People don't find it interesting to be there. Along like all people may try to say we're going to watch it on television.
Yeah.
So what is the sense for me to be there?
Exactly.
But in your case, you've not been at one place. You travel far and wide everywhere you want to be there. So one watching would like to know.
Well, I think first of all, my main source of motivation is accreditation. When you are a professional journalist and you get accredited by FIFA media and you realize how hard it is, like there are literally thousands of applications. So if FIFA selects you, do you understand what kind of blessing this is? So if they give you one hand, try to reach out to them as well. So I think the first time I was accredited was for Azerbaijan 2012 with AIPS, which is the International Sports Press Association, but this was made through AIPS. So like you will not feel, because they take care of you as a young reporter. So I did not feel the whole impact that it had, as in the hustle in getting accreditation. But then later on, for example, for the Women's World Cup in Canada, and then for the FIFA Men's World Cup in Russia, and then recently for the Women's World Cup in France, I understood how difficult it was for me to get it. And at the same time, I'm also naturally very curious because, for example, take Russia, for example. We have that very bad image of Russians being cold and angry people and stuff. And I wanted to see this for myself. And I had people telling me that if you go to Russia, especially as a woman, and the games finish late, if you're going to walk in the street at 2 a.m., you have to be careful, you're going to be alone. It was the best experience. Like, people were super nice. I had a lot of free things, gifts and everything. So I saw this to myself. So I sent Ghana to Russia and brought Russia to Ghana through my blog post on myjoyonline.com and my documentary, CRD7 documentary. Same thing in France. Well, in France, people said that the Women's World Cup was not going to be interesting, but they lied, because the viewership was at an all-time high. Like, literally, the Women's World Cup final in the US was more watched than the Men's World Cup final.
Wow.
Fact.
In Russia?
That was for the Women's World Cup.
Sure.
Yeah. Then the Men's World Cup.
In
Then
Russia.
the Russian. Yes.
Right.
So USA, Netherlands had bigger audiences than France, Croatia.
Right.
So that kind of thing, and I really wanted to be part of this because women's football is really at a point where it is flourishing. And for me to once again be the only Ghanaian there, like literally there was no other reporter from Ghana. Again, for the full tournament was also an experience that was fantastic. Of course, I speak French, so it was in a way easier because I felt really much at home with organizers, volunteers, people in the streets. But you have that thing, like you want to see how things are for yourself. You want to explore and you want to report the tournament, ask your own questions, not just always pick it up from the net, because I do that a lot. So at some point I need to also fetch information myself, and this is what I did, and I think this is what I want to continue doing. There's going to be much more. There's going to be the Women's European Championship, there's going to be the Olympics. I'm yet to do an Olympics, but who knows, God willing. And then there's going to be Qatar 2022. That's if Qatar still hosts it, because there are talks that the World Cup is going to go to the US. Who knows? So there's so many more tournaments, and as long as I'm in this profession, I want to go out there and continue to do that. I think it's part of my nature.
Great.
Yeah.
So let me find out, before we continue, let me find out, after USA won the World Cup, there have been this issue that have come up, and I've listened to this Nigerian female footballer who plays for Barcelona, and they are female.
Oshuala?
Thank you.
Yeah.
They are all crusading for equality with the men.
Yes.
And this is my first time of you telling me that the final had more viewership than
Yes, it
the
did.
finals in Russia.
Yeah.
So, do you subscribe to that? Do you think the female are there? Do you think the female has the requisite qualities to exhibit? Unlike, you can talk of Ronaldo, you can talk of Messi, you can talk of Neymar, you can talk of Hazard. Do you think the females also possess those qualities like the men for them to demand for equal payment?
Well, this is a complex question. You know, it comes in wide dimensions, and then of course, you cannot compare because in the U.S., for example, the women's team has been bringing in more revenue for the past 3 years,
Right.
and it looks like it's going to continue for a few more years than the men's team. So it's funny to say that if you calculate in the U.S., maybe the women's team even deserve more than the men. Maybe in the US, instead of equal pay, maybe the women's team deserve to be more paid than the men. In Ghana, we're not there yet, okay? Because although the Black Stars, for example, have not won like nada, nothing, nisht,
Yeah.
for what
7 years.
37. Oh my God, they still generate a lot of interest, and the Black Queens don't generate that interest. So I don't know. I don't think it's about pay us as much as the guys. I think there should be a criteria for payment, and of course, like I said, there's more to paying footballers than just the result they get or the audiences they get, because it's a whole sponsorship thing. So it's up to them. But it's important that when they are creating contracts, they do it without discriminating upon the gender, because we know that, especially in the West, like people think that Africans are so behind in terms of female-male discrimination, and I know that we have this issue in Ghana as well. But in many areas, I've felt that more in the West than even in Ghana, whereby, like I always say, my first ever sexist comments came from a white guy in the UK whom I don't even know, and who told me to go back to the kitchen instead of writing articles because I'm a girl. And I haven't come across those kind of comments in Ghana, like very rarely, but you see a lot of those in the West.
Right.
So like I said, it's all about being fair. When they draft contracts, they should not say, okay, this is the girls, we don't care. But in the US, and I follow the US team a lot, I think it's about time that the American FA invest more in the women's game than the men's game. Because if you ask me to bet, I think, and I'm going to be very rude to the men's team, they will never win the World Cup until Jesus comes. They won't, ever. Okay, unless I don't know what happens, unless other countries crash, but they will not. And you have the women who won it back to back.
Yeah.
And if they keep developing the women's game in the US, like, it's going to continue for decades and decades. And there's no doubt you have players like Alex Morgan, who is so influential. If you ask people around the world to name a few US men's team players, they don't know many.
Exactly.
Except Pulisic, because he signed for Chelsea.
Exactly.
Yeah. But then with the women, you have Megan Rapinoe, you have Carly Lloyd, who was very nice to me in France. You have Alex Morgan and everything. So it's a complex issue, and I just hope that people will be able to look into sports with fair eyes. It's really ridiculous to say that football is just for men. Right. I think the World Cup in France showed that women can be as pacey and then as strong as the men. Yeah. Right,
but let's find out. You told us how FIFA has been very helpful one way or the other to you. So I know that when FIFA gives you the accreditation, it doesn't mean that they are going to fund your trip.
Oh no.
They are going to do everything. Great. So let's find out, how do you fund for your trip, being into Asia, being into Europe, being into everywhere? You are yet to attend an Olympic everywhere. Yeah. I know that. So how do you fund for your trips? Okay,
so the trip to Russia was 100% funded by me because I work day job. So I work for an American-based company, and at the same time, like I said, I have my businesses and stuff. But that was mainly funded by my day job. And then for the trip in France, I was trying to up my game and seeking sponsorship. So I did a lot of work, researching companies, selling my proposal to people, explaining to them what I did in Russia and what I can do in France, and bringing France to Ghana and sending Ghana to France. Well, people have a hard time buying into proposals. I don't know the reason why. I have no idea. I don't have a marketing background. All I know is that I just hope that people could be a little more open-minded to fund those kind of things. So after fighting for months and nobody wanted to buy into this, I had the chance to have all my flight tickets paid by my employer in the US as a way to reward me for 10 years of working with them.
Right.
Yeah, loyalty, right. And the rest was again myself. Everything, like from my equipment, cameras and everything to everything else. And in a sense, I think this is also something that has strengthened me as an entrepreneur, because you don't go out there begging, you go out there trying to sell. And if people don't buy into plan A, you have to invest into plan B, because it is your dream. You don't go out there saying, like, ideally, even right now as we are doing this AAA Test Her Story, I would like sponsors to understand that there's quality, there's audience, and then if we come together and then we push quality content, it can have a very good impact.
Right.
It's not like I'm asking them to fund me with taxpayers' money.
Right.
Yeah, wink. But I don't know. I just want them to be a bit more open-minded and to understand that you need to invest into things that matter.
Exactly.
Yeah. So as long as they don't hear my call, well, I will not stop what I'm doing, and I will continue to find ways and means to fund myself. But the good thing is that this I owe no one, because all of the things that I do is either from me or my employer, who has been very helpful. In Canada, it was 100% paid by my employer. In the US,
Right.
yeah.
So how difficult it is? I mean, it is for you to inject money into something that probably you can go there, but you ask yourself, with what I'm doing, what am I really gonna achieve at the end of the day? All this, I know all these things come to bear when you're doing your analysis and stuff. So how difficult it is for you to fund for yourself and go there before, because when you go there, I know you're gonna be in a hotel, your transport and everything. So how difficult it is, because even we recently had in the AFCON, just another AFCON, we had a whole lot of stories. People went there, and even to get an accommodation, it's a problem. So how difficult it is to fund all these things when you're going for such an international tournament?
Oh, well, like I said, you have to prepare in advance, first of all. So it's always stressful because you are not sure if FIFA is going to give you accreditation. And imagine if you book everything and they don't give you accreditation, what happens? So you need to be confident about your track record as a journalist, and to know where you're going. What else? Well, it's always difficult, of course, but there are ways and means to always be on the cheap side. I do not draft budgets that exceed $6.4 million. And I do not waste more than $1.2 million without qualifying out of the group stage. So I try to be very economical. Yeah, is that how you say it? I think economical. Yeah, I try to be very economical and to plan in advance, so I know that if there are deals, then try to book at the time when there's going to be deals and everything. But like you said, it is a bit difficult to fund all this kind of stuff and then end up not being in front of audiences, because what I'm doing is a long-term project, okay? With my production company, Tita Productions, it's all about creating media content of quality, and of course it's evolving. You know, just like Facebook, when Facebook opened, it was not what it is now, but it evolved with ideas and more personal, more staff. For now, I'm alone, so I know it's evolving. All I want to do is to continue doing what I'm doing, right? And to reach as many people as possible. Now, we had that problem whereby my episodes in France, Fabulous France with AAA, were supposed to air on Metro TV, which of course the first 2 episodes aired on Metro TV. So that was something that gave me vim to continue. And then something happened, and it turned out that they interrupted the broadcast. So that was very difficult to take. Imagine yourself, you're in Europe, you are breaking your back, filming, interviewing, translating, subtitling, mounting your videos alone, like you're doing everything alone, and packaging everything for it to air in Ghana as per the agreement you had with the TV station, and you end up being told that we cannot continue airing your content for some reasons that, for some things that had been like forecasted before even. So that was super hard to take, but AAA does not break down. So picked myself back up and I continued.
Do you feel disappointed with that because you've injected money into that and you were expecting at least a feedback from the audience? And so when, I don't mean to go deep into that, but do you feel disappointed with that because there was money you injected into that and you were expecting a feedback, and one way or the other they told you it's not going to be aired? Do you feel disappointed with that?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I feel, well, first of all, I know there was the AFCON going on, but it's not like I did not know. I knew. I mean, I know the football calendar, right? These are things that we had discussed prior to my trip. So to go up and down and then have all those meetings, and like I said, it was pretty difficult to like chase one train, catch a flight, going to the stadium, doing this, doing that, carrying all my equipment around, mounting everything, putting all this effort, like time, money, and a lot of energy. And then getting that kind of feedback because people loved episode 1, they loved episode 2, and they were waiting for episode 3. Right. Episode 3 went out on my YouTube channel, AAA Network, but never on television. And now I'm working on the documentary to close everything and to explain like the whole setup of going to France and doing this as an independent media person. But yes, I mean, it was super difficult to take. I will not hide that fact, and I think it kind of reinforced my decision to go solo because you cannot trust people. I think people are not honest enough, and at the end of the day, they don't care enough about your stuff. And I think my projects are my projects, so it's up to me to do my thing without expecting anyone to like assist me. I'm open to help, but I'm not going to beg for help. That's how I roll.
So you tell us, why do you think someone out there should patronize your work that you are doing? How different is your work different from other people?
Well, first of all, I don't think like in my little universe, there's no other people. Like it's me competing against myself.
Right.
I do not compete against others. I think everybody is unique in their own way and everybody's doing their thing to the best of their abilities for various purposes. And for me, I'm just trying to be me. I have a big passion for audiovisual stuff, and I'm a person that likes telling stories in a way. Probably I love telling stories in a positive way more than what you see in mainstream media. I think mainstream media is a bit too negative, in my opinion. I like to see the good side of everything. I'm just doing my thing, and I think that if you are consistent and if you're yourself, you're going to attract people along the way that vibe with the kind of person that you are. So that's basically it, I would say. Yeah.
Right. So you tell us you covering most of the tournaments. You travel far and wide. How do you cope with the language? You told us you speak multiple languages.
Yeah.
So for example, tell us when you were going to Russia. Yeah. And I know most of them don't speak English.
Yes, they don't.
They speak their indigenous language. So how do you cope with that? How do you deal with that? And how many languages do you speak in all?
Okay. So first of all, I don't speak too many languages. People are always telling me that I speak too many languages. No, I speak French.
Angela, santé, le Ghana est pas dans la sélection, pas trop triste.
Ça va. En fait, c'est un peu dommage quand on n'a pas pu se qualifier. C'est parce qu'on a joué la Coupe d'Afrique à domicile. Et voilà, c'était vraiment quand même quelque chose de gros de ne pas pouvoir aller au mondial. Mais je me suis dit, bon, quand on y a, quand on n'y a pas,
il y a le Nigeria, il y a le Cameroun,
il y a le Nigeria, voilà.
Native French, with a French accent. Not from Togo.
Right.
Yes. I mean from France. And then of course I speak English with a heavy French accent or a weird accent. I think you can hear how my English sounds. Yeah. And I can communicate in Italian. So if people watched episode 2 of Fabulous Friends with Triple A, they will see that part where I found an Italian family in the subway. They were kind of lost in Paris, and then they do not speak French, so they were totally lost actually. And I speak Italian, so we ended up, going out of the metro station together. And French people around were looking at me like, a black person who speaks Italian?
Ciao a tutti, sono in Parigi e questa famiglia è stupendo. Noi andiamo al Parc de France per guardare la partita tra la Francia e poi la Corea. E tu sei? Giuseppe e questo ragazzo piace Mbappé. Mbappé. Ok, e sono tifosi del Napoli.
Forza Napoli.
Forza Napoli, ma a me piace Ronaldo, dunque forza Juve.
Ok,
ciao a tutti. Au revoir.
So yeah, those are the languages that I speak. I understand Italian more than I speak it, but I know that with practice, like I was 2 weeks in Italy, and my Italian was just improving and improving. So I think with practice it will be okay. With the 3 language, of course, yeah, I can understand and communicate. I'm not fluent yet. I say yet because one of my dreams is to be able to write in 3 at the level whereby I'll be able to even write a whole novel in 3. That's my aim.
Right.
So if I learn a language, I want to learn it well, not just to speak it roughly, And you were asking about Russia. Well, in Russia, I also wanted to prove to people and to myself that language is not a barrier. I think it's a myth. We are in an era where there's technology.
Sure.
Pick your damn phone and use Google Translate. That's it.
So you're telling us that you use Google Translate to communicate with them?
And it was fun because, even when I was, for example, there was that bus driver, it was 1 a.m. I was lost in the streets of Moscow, and there was a bus driver who is pretty old, so he doesn't understand Google Translate, nothing, and he's Russian. But I had that on my phone, so I picked the app, spoke on it, and then showed him, and he said, okay, I understand what you mean, so you need to go there and this place. We can communicate. It's possible to communicate. So for me, it's a decision. And then again, one day I had no data and I was still able to communicate. You use sign language. I don't know, just draw something. They will understand. So I think the language barrier is a myth, and sometimes it's kind of more fun to speak with people who do not speak your language than with people who speak your language. And lastly, one thing I realized is that with Russian people, for example, I have a lot of Russian friends now, even on Instagram. I think we vibe more, we understand each other more, despite the language difference, than some people who speak English or even French with me, but who are overly dramatic, so they kind of manage to twist everything you say. So there is language of, on the tongue, and language of the heart, I think.
So you being the only female sports journalist in Russia, and I mean Black Star did not qualify for that. I mean we're all sad about that because after excelling in 2006, 2010, 2014, 2014 was not all that good for us. And you being the only female journalist there, I know you reported for other media platform here in Ghana, TV station, the radio station, and other online portals. So what was really the connection? Tell us about that, because we know that you reported for other media houses.
Yes, I did.
So what was the connection? How did that thing really came about?
Well, I was in Russia doing my thing as an independent media content producer, and I got a call, I think 5 days into my trip, from Quest Sports, and then another one from TV3. And I think this is when they realized that what I was doing had value, and then they wanted my thoughts on air. At the time, I didn't have all of this equipment. I only had my Nikon. but I did what I could with Skype and stuff. With Joy, my blog post on Joy, those ones were timed a bit before my trip, because I had a chat with Gary Smith, and he's been pretty supportive. Like, he's one of the colleagues that I really appreciate, and he said that what you're doing is cool, and we will want your thoughts, and you can publish, regularly as many times as you want on My Joy Online. So that's how I got to blog for My Joy Online. And like I said, for Quitty Sport, they called me, and then TV3 called me as well later on. Yeah.
Okay, so this may sound very interesting.
Okay.
Now, in January this year, there was this the commentary that you heard about Cristiano Ronaldo.
Yeah.
Yes. So in Russia. So first of all, before we go into that, tell us about that. How did you track that? Because he's a global icon. Everybody look at him. People who are dreaming to be footballers will either want to play like Messi or Ronaldo.
Or Ronaldo, yeah.
So you have been able to get opportunity to really do a commentary, a bit of work about him. Before we go into that, tell us about that. How did you realize that? How did you know that? Listen, this is what I want to do, and indeed, you injected in much effort and you were able to strike that.
Well, first of all, one of the reasons why I'm into sports journalism is because of Ronaldo. Because when I was younger, I was studying socioeconomics in French school. I did not school in Ghana, and then one day I switched on the TV, and then I saw Portugal against Spain. It was on June 20th, 2004, and I saw a skinny guy playing in the wings. I had no understanding of football, and I had very, very poor English grammar and spelling. And I said, wow, who's that guy? He's playing like, wow. So we used to call him Le 17 in French, which means the number 17. My bro and I. So I followed him, and then I had no idea that club football existed. And so I was like, okay, so there are more games. It's not just one tournament. So I started following him until 2006, just before the World Cup. Then I started to listen to the BBC, CNN, DWTV, all those channels in English to improve my English and to practice. So I used to practice on my computer and stuff like that until I decided that, if I'm not going to be a footballer, because I was seeing myself being the captain of the Black Queens, I think I had the talent to do it, but not the supportive system to go for it. And I think that in life, if plan A doesn't work, there's plan B. If plan B doesn't work, there's C, D, E, F until plan Z. And then if the letters of the alphabet do not work, then you have the numbers 1 to infinite. So I did not become a football player, but I became a football journalist through my passion for Ronaldo. So with Ronaldo, I had so much passion that I learned English in 1 year, and I learned how to write in 1 year as well. And I was practicing. My brother and I were addicted to video games, FIFA video games. But back then it wasn't FIFA, it was Sega and Pika 1, those old games from the 80s. But we had that, so we would play football on the game, and I would pretend to be the commentator, because that was the only way I was going to practice, because we did not have DSTV, and the games were not on TV station, and I'm not the kind of person who accepts no for an answer. So I was like, I need to practice. So we will pretend that we are playing Brazil against France, and I'll go and write my articles. So I was doing that gradually, and when I applied for the job at livesoccertv.com, which is my employer in the US, I did not have that, that super impressive CV, like maybe what people want, right? But my boss said, oh, wow, I've never seen somebody who is so passionate about football that she imagines games from video games and writes about them. And I had kind of created like a mini website, which he also saw. So he opened the document and stuff, and he said, really taking you on. So I started out as a volunteer. And then after this, I went to write for a Ronaldo fan site, which is no more into operations. And 9 months later, my boss, who hired me first as a volunteer, told me, you know what, we have an offer for you, and this is that. So that's how it happened. And so because Ronaldo has always been at the center of my love for football, I had I think he's still strong and he might go to the 2022 World Cup.
Exactly.
But back then, I was thinking Russia could be his last World Cup. So I said I would do like everything, anything to be in Russia to cheer him on. So I actually followed Portugal.
Right.
So I actually attended all of Portugal's game, from the group stages to the last 16. And then after that, I followed the rest. So I did, I think, Russia, France, and stuff. And in between, in Saransk, actually, which is a very tiny town in Russia, and a town that people don't know and that doesn't, welcome so many tourists. That time, Ronaldo was there, so it was vibrant. Right. And as you can see, if you watch the CRD7 documentary, I was wearing that cap, which is the cap of my own fan site, See Ronaldo Daily 7, and he thought it was his cap. So, cap or cape, I don't know how you say it. And then he said, he's kind of like singled me out of the group, and we were like 30 people from many countries. I think only 3 ladies and about 27 men. Okay. And he was like, oh wow, I like that cap and it's really cool, and stuff. So that's how I got to kind of like engage with him. So it has been a really good experience, I think. Not just as a journalist, but also my life as a passionate Ronaldo fan. Yeah.
So you being an international journalist, and we were all expecting that at least the Black Stars, after their abysmal performance in 2014 in Brazil, we're hoping that the team will build up, have a very good squad, and then move on to Russia. But unfortunately, they couldn't qualify.
No.
You as an international journalist, and I know that these things, when it happens, when Ghana qualify for any major tournament, it gives those people out there an opportunity to work more harder, to put the name of Ghana out there. But unfortunately, Ghana did not qualify. No. But you were there to qualify to cover the matches. And I remember I spoke to one of the senior journalists here in Ghana about the disadvantages that after the Black Stars failed to qualify, the disadvantages that it will bring on the media house.
Exactly.
And he told me a whole lot. So how did it affect you? Even though Ghana was not there, but you covered it for yourself. What are some of the negativity that you really saw, and you said, in case Ghana should have been here, at least I would have benefited something out of that?
To be honest, I don't think there is any link between the Black Stars progress or successes and my thing, because I'm an independent media person anyways. But what I can say is that I went to Russia, and there were people from countries that did not qualify and that might even never qualify. Like I saw Peru was there, so I saw Peruvian journalists. I saw journalists from other countries, I think Indonesia or something, and I was like, they get it. Like they understand that it's not just, you don't just cover a tournament because your country is there.
Exactly.
Even if your country is not playing, as a journalist, you need to go there and capture stories. They're going to be very interesting stories, especially from an African point of view, because we had Cameroon. That was at the Women's World Cup. We had Cameroon and South Africa and then Nigeria. Right. And then at the Men's World Cup in 2018, there were also African teams, right? Yeah. So I was a bit, kind of shocked that the Ghanaian media reacted that way. Like, a few people were like, okay, if the final comes on, we will try and cover it.
Exactly.
But they were not interested in going for the full tournament. I don't know for whatever reasons. I think in Ghana, their way of following sports is too much attached to the Black Stars.
Exactly. Yeah.
So the Black Stars have been holding their hearts ransom, I think, for like decades.
So many years.
Yeah. I'm not ashamed to say that I kind of divulged the Black Stars in 2012. I used to be a huge fan of the Black Stars. I remember when Steven Appiah scored that goal against the USA. Damn! I was so happy. I was like celebrating and stuff. I was still young at that time, a teenager. But since the whole saga with the money and stuff, I think they are over pampered. And I think that football and sports is not just the Black Stars. We have so many other disciplines, and even in football, I have people who are always pressuring me to be their agent. I am not an agent, but this goes to show how the whole Black Stars thing has become like a business, and people do not care about grassroots football, men's club football, women's club football,
Yeah.
and then academic and everything
Exactly.
is in a mess.
That's true.
So for many reasons, I am not a fan of the Black Stars, and I do not care if they do not qualify for a tournament. And I also do not care if people criticize me for saying this. Yes.
So, yes, what you're saying is true. Recently, when they failed to win the AFCON,
Yeah.
we've had a whole lot of comments when the minister read the budgets. People are now beginning to realize that, listen, let's go the German way. When they're able to win something, we pay them. If they are not, then when they play, they exit from the tournament, they go the other way. But I mean, that's fine. I think we are all one way or the other becoming aware of ourselves and how we need to go about to do our stuff. Now, prior to the World Cup, I was hoping that Brazil will win the World Cup because they had a very solid
In Russia?
team in Russia. Thank you. But were you surprised to see France
No,
emerging
no.
as the winners?
Actually, when France crumbled in South Africa
Yeah.
in 2010,
Yeah.
I had a feeling that this was actually their breakthrough. At some point, you know, when in an association things are not moving in the right direction, and you have people that are not disciplined enough to follow the orders of the coaches. You know, you had that Patrice Evra thing in training and cliche, and nobody was respecting no one.
Exactly.
And you had what was the name of their coach back then? Oh, forgot his name. That guy as well was always at war with the media. Nothing was going right in the French Football Federation. And I had the hunch that I said, okay, if they do it right, they're going to win the World Cup within the next 5-10 years.
Exactly.
And they did.
Yeah.
And this is what I want Ghana football to go through. I'm absolutely sick and tired of what the Black Stars are doing. Not just the players. It's not just the players. You cannot just blame the players. They are all in this circus. It's a concept. Okay? So I really want Ghana to follow the footsteps of France and restructure everything, reshuffle everything, build afresh. We have talent in abundance. This is a country where God has blessed us with like natural talent. We just need to really develop it. So once we do that, people might laugh, but if we do it well, we could be the first African team to play in a World Cup final. And I say this because we were almost there, like in the knockout stages. But we are going to go what in the quarters or semis?
In the semifinals.
Wow, with the Suarez thing.
Exactly.
Uruguay.
So the Suarez thing was at the quarterfinals.
Exactly.
Yeah. So we should have won against Uruguay. We've been at the quarter at the semifinals of the tournament.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you see that thing? That's why I think that France winning the World Cup was not a surprise. It was totally a reward of everything they have been working towards for the past five years, I would say. So when they lost in a very boring way in Brazil 2014, I still remember that very easy chance that Benzema could not tuck in.
Yeah.
And when they had that whole saga with not sending Benzema to the World Cup and things, I said this could actually spur them on to win the World Cup. They won it without Benzema.
Exactly.
And
not even with Valbuena.
Not even.
Yeah.
Not even with Valbuena. And this happened after losing the final at home of the European Championship in 2016
to Portugal.
Yeah. So I think they absolutely deserve it. And surprised, no, not surprised at all.
Right. So you were in France recently, and from there you went to Italy, and you're back in Ghana. So take France for example. Tell us the experience, and how many matches did you cover in France?
At the Women's World Cup, I covered 10 matches. I had to count the other day because it sounded like a lot. And I think 3 of those games were US games. Yes. Probably 3 more were from France, I think. So the way I selected them, I had to go through 6 cities and Paris twice.
Right.
So I went from Paris, opening game, France against South Korea, which was a fantastic game, and the stadium was full, and I can tell you the atmosphere was fantastic. Even when France were not playing, the best fans I think were the American fans, like huge, you know, wearing their colors, buying a lot of stuff. Stadium sold out, and same with the French, of course, national team. So I did Paris, and then I went to Reims. When I went to Reims, I covered France against France Nigeria was in Rennes, So in Reims was US against Thailand. In Rennes was France against Nigeria, which was a very controversial game, I think, and hard luck to Niger. Yeah, and then I went to Nice, and from Nice I went to Montpellier, and after Montpellier I went back to Paris, and then from Paris I went to Lyon, and in Lyon that's where I had the semifinals and the finals. Right. But I really had like the full World Cup experience for the women's game, and I tell you what, best women's World Cup like ever. I don't think there's been a better one than that, and it's going to be difficult for the 2023 edition to match that level, from the point of view of the organizers to the level of play on the pitch. We had like, it was a real fiesta. Amazing.
So with that, do you think, or do you have an aim? Are you dreaming to come back to work in the local media?
Well, I'm available. I always tell people I'm here. I produce content. I'm able also to collaborate with people. As you know, a panelist, I'm open to gigs like being a presenter, show host. If the offers come, why not? And if the offers don't come, I'm not going to beg. Great. I still do my thing. Yeah.
Great. So, see, tell us, people have that idea, and I remember David James came to Ghana some years back when they were doing the FA Cup Trophy tour. I met him and I asked him, do you think Ghana or African country can ever win the World Cup? And he said yes. But it's about structures. Exactly. So you being a female journalist, what do you think as a country that we claim to be the Brazilians of African football? Now, blacks are struggling, our female national teams are struggling, our and the 21, and the 19, 20, 21, 23 are struggling. You've traveled far and wide, you've witnessed so many matches. What do you think as a country we are not doing right?
It's time to stop flying out casters and malams at tournaments and really play with the head. I don't know why we love illusions. We love to imagine things that don't exist. Do you ever hear those kind of things with the German teams or the French teams? Like, seriously, wipe everyone out and rebuild afresh. That's all. We have the talent, and we have people that are talented on the pitch, and we also have people that are talented at administration level. We do not need all this noise. But then again, we are in a country where people like to talk and pray more than do. So I think if you are stuck with that personality, there's nothing you can do but to keep failing, and you will fail until Jesus comes. So
you think where we've gotten to, the whole thing needed a rebuilding, the Black Stars need a total rebuilding, the female national teams, everybody, we should start afresh. Is that what you created? Afresh. And do you think we have what it takes to do that?
I think it's about personal decision and leadership. But leadership is not just one person. I think we are a nation where we think that somebody is going to save you. Nobody is coming to save you. You have to save yourself. So until we change that mentality, or I would say they, because this excludes me, that's not my way of thinking. So until they realize that every person is responsible for the progress of something, nothing is going to change.
Okay, I'm going to push you to the wall before we do our final wrap up.
Yeah.
Taking the Black Stars, for example. If we're given the opportunity, because the Black Stars is what we cherish.
Yeah.
Given the opportunity, how many players do you wish they are out?
Okay, because I don't really like these guys anymore. I don't really like count who is who, but one guy whom I think is fantastic, Mubarak Wakaso. This guy, although I have to be honest, I was rooting for every opponent of the Black Stars at the AFCON. Like I said, I have no feelings anymore for them because I think they really betrayed the nation, not just them but the whole system, and I can never ever support that kind of thing. even though I was in that, kind of mood, I saw Mubarak Wakaso on the pitch. I think he was doing everything he could, and I think he was really playing for himself and for the nation, and there was no egos or something. I used to be a big fan of Dede Ayew. I just think for some reasons there's the whole egotistic stuff, and I don't think we really need that at the moment. This captaincy saga with what's his name again? Asamoah Gyan. I don't think we needed that as well. So yeah, I would say Mubarak Wakaso is one guy that if ever the Black Stars get revamped, this is one guy whose name has to be on the list to remain in the Black Stars. I cannot talk about the rest.
Right.
Yeah. You need to love your job, and especially for aspiring journalists, upcoming ones. Like I said, the last time I was at the Ghana Institute of Journalism, GIJ, for the SWAG GIJ seminar, I was telling the youngsters that if you go into this profession thinking that it's going to pay you, then forget. But it's good for exposure, I think, and also it's good for experience. Like you really, really want to connect with the players, and you want to experience the games at stadium and stuff. This is fantastic. That's more of the things I do. I understand that some people are more investigative journalists, so it's more daunting than what I do. It's more dangerous as well. So it depends what kind of journalism you want to venture in. But you have to know that whether you are more the entertainment side like I do it, or you are more the investigative side like Anas and everything, you need to be able to talk without fear. Because I know that right now, everything that I've said in this interview, I know that some people are going to be offended because I talked about Metro TV interrupting my thing, but I need to talk about it. I have a mouth, and whatever happens, especially when it's not professional, I cannot just sweep it under the carpet. We need to talk about those things. I do not have animosity against anyone, but we need to talk it out, and we need to find a solution for future collaborations. And I think that this happens way too often in the Ghanaian media, whereby good projects are not supported. So whatever happens in and outdoors, talk about it. Of course, some things are to be talked about privately.
Yeah.
But in this case, whatever I said about my opinion about the Black Stars, for example, I am entitled to my opinion. Right. People can criticize and it's fine. But I'm just saying, just as people want to support them, I have chosen not to support them. And this is what it is. As a journalist, I have the right to say it. Right. And people have the right to criticize. But I also have the right not to check out those negative comments. Right. So yeah. So basically, be yourself, be truthful, and maybe try and have a side job, because when you are like super hungry and you are going to have people that are going to, with power, that are going to influence you to manufacture fake news, most likely you are going to be tempted to do those kind of things. Yeah. Because you are hungry, right? Yeah. Which is more or less understandable, even if I would not do it. But not everyone is, as strong as that to support temptation. So get yourself a job that can give you the money, so that when people try and, kind of like blackmail you, they will never get you.
Right. Thank you for talking to us.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.